18 hours into the strike against GM, we're measuring the potential fallout. Nearly 50,000 hourly GM workers walked off the job at midnight. About 800 of them are at GM's Grand Rapids operation in Wyoming. That's where News 8's Joe LaFurgey is live tonight, kicking off our team coverage. Joe.
Yeah, Lindsay, at 5, we talked about the issues facing both sides in this strike. And right now, we're taking a look at the effects this strike could have beyond these picket lines. The plant builds axles and other components for GM vehicles, but not today.
All the way, UAW.
UAW.
United Auto Workers Union members here and across the country walked off the job at midnight.
If we don't see a lot of movement in the next 48 hours, then we might be pulling in for a long haul.
And that could be bad news for local GM suppliers. Max Enterprises Human Resource Director tells 24-Hour News 8 if there's not a quick settlement, they may have to make layoffs. Any decision won't come until the end of the week. Lags, whose largest customer is GM, is already asking for volunteers to avoid forced layoffs. Still, Paul Isley, Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs at Grand Valley State's Seidman College of Business, says local suppliers have diversified what they're selling and who they're selling it to. He says most are better suited to weather this kind of storm than they were a decade ago.
That really helps them. It helps their product mix. It helps them from having to lay off as many people when things start to slow down.
At issue, wages, plant closures, and healthcare costs. Isley says the timing may not play in the union's favor.
We're seeing a slowdown in automotive right now, and that's going to make it harder for GM to give them as much as the UAW is hoping for.
But GM is fighting Ford and Chrysler's Ram truck division for a bigger share of the very profitable truck segment with the launch of a new full-size pickup, something that could help the UAW's cause.
GM is going to be more likely to want to get out of this quickly so that they can continue to produce these pickup trucks.
So why in all this did the UAW target GM instead of Fiat Chrysler and Ford? Well, there are about 8 billion reasons. $8 billion is what GM took in last year. Live in Wyoming, Joe LaFurgey, News 8.
Joe, thank you. When the UAW goes on strike, Michigan naturally feels the impact first and possibly the most. Southwest Michigan Congressman Fred Upton talked with News 8's political reporter Rick Albin about this latest action and where it might lead. Rick.
Well, Lindsay, the congressman says that a strike like this impacts more than just GM. Suppliers, like Joe was talking about, though more diversified, as he said, in years past, will still feel the pressure of a strike depending on its length. The loss of wages hits the workers on strike, but has a negative trickle-down effect on the whole economy.
Impacts the revenues to the state, impacts what they're doing in terms of purchases. Obviously, you've got the whole credit issue that's out there as well, and lost production, let alone the impact on the consumer that may or may, put off buying a new vehicle. So sales, I mean, it's, this is a big deal as it certainly impacts Michigan, and we hope that it gets, from my perspective, I hope that it gets resolved pretty quickly.
Upton says this was not a total surprise. There was some warning coming from GM CEO Mary Barra. She was in Washington 2 weeks ago, and he believes she told the president at that time that a strike was likely. Lindsay?